Brian Hartline has done it again. He is an absolute mastermind when it comes to developing wide receivers and recruiting them as he lands another five-star just a day after landing wide receiver Carnell Tate, Brandon Inniss out of Miami Gardens, Florida, five-star wide receiver in the composite, has now joined the Ohio State Buckeyes and made this room absolutely ridiculous and absolutely loaded. So, what does this mean for Inniss and this incredible wide receiver room for the Ohio State Buckeyes? Let's find out. All right, let's start with the new addition, Brandon Inniss. Absolutely amazing wide receiver. As I just mentioned, out of Miami Gardens, Florida. He is a five-star in the 24/7 Sports composite, but he is a four-star for 24/7 Sports, the number two wide receiver in the composite, number three for 24/7 Sports. As a junior last year, they don't have much for him in production, just 341 yards and 17 catches with two touchdowns. That mostly coming because he actually had to play quarterback at times for his team, passing for 604 yards, 41% completion percentage, seven touchdowns, three interceptions. But let's just be honest, at the end of the day, that part doesn't really matter as much as he will not be doing that for the Ohio State Buckeyes. As a wide receiver, he's a very intriguing wide receiver and fits a mold that Brian Hartline has really attacked over the past couple years. We'll get to that part in a second. He has evolved, it seems, as a wide receiver. He can play inside and outside. Again, something else we've seen the Ohio State coaching staff really goes in after. They really covet that as a wide receiver. Has very good speed, and I think is very good with his burst on and off the line. Really gets in and out of his breaks fairly easily. Does cause some issues for the cornerbacks at that part. He's very good at creating separation, good feet, very good cuts. And I do think he's very sure-handed, although there are times that he lets the ball get a little bit too much into his body, but I think that is something that can be worked on. Definitely could become a yak monster for the Ohio State Buckeyes. He is listed at 6 foot 190. Why is that interesting? If you go look at the current roster right now for the Ohio State Buckeyes, some of these guys, I'm just going to be honest, are not going to do much for you, but just to go over the list here, Cameron Babb, 6 foot 205, Julian Fleming, 6'2", 207, Emeka Egbuka, 6'1", 205, Jaden Ballard, 6'2", 195, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 6 foot 198, Caleb Burton, 5'11", 169, Keon Grays, 6 foot 175, Marvin Harrison Jr., 6'3", 205. The big thing there, a lot of these guys are right around the same size. That is something that Brian Hartline covets in players that he has been able to develop. What does this mean for him, though? Coming in next, again, into an absolutely loaded room. Well, we know Jackson's going to be gone. I don't see any chance, especially with the season he just had as a sophomore, what he's likely going to do as a junior, that he's going to come back and play for the Buckeyes. So he's going to be gone. You're going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. and, in my opinion, Emeka Egbuka locked in to the top two spots. The interesting pieces here are going to be what happens with Julian Fleming and what happens with Jaden Ballard. A lot of talk in the spring was that Jaden Ballard had passed Julian Fleming for somewhat on the depth chart, though Julian Fleming was dealing with an injury. Assuming Fleming doesn't transfer and stays with the Ohio State Buckeyes, I assume him and Ballard will be mixed in there in some way with, in my opinion, Keon Grays, who I think is the best of the freshmen currently there right now. With Carnell Tate coming in, Rogers, and now Brandon Inniss, the biggest thing we want here at Campus to Canton is not see a year 1-0. What is a year 1-0? Go check out our Devi guide. Go to the website, campus2canton.com. There's 10 different categories that you have to get at least one. You have to qualify for at least one to not be qualified as a year 1-0. It is a theory that we are still working on, but so far has proven that if you don't beat one of those, you're likely not going to do much in college and you're not going to make it in the NFL. In fact, no Ohio State wide receiver has ever finished a year as a year 1-0 and made it into the NFL. So we're definitely watching that part of it. With how good this offense is going to be, though, I don't expect those guys to be year 1-0s. Brandon Inniss is the best of the group, in my opinion, of the group that Brian Hartline has brought in. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. The fact that he can move in and out of the slot, he can be in the slot, he can play outside, the way he gets off the line, how physical he can be if needed, but really how good he is at creating separation, how good his hands are for the most part. I find him a very intriguing prospect, and I think he'll be a guy that will get some early playing time next year, but he will still be stuck behind Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. This is a loaded room, and I expect at some point some of these guys are going to transfer out, even though they can have three of these guys on the field most of the time, and I do expect that. But with the guys they brought in last year, the guys they're now bringing in 2023, and likely continuing down the line, it's going to be a lot of fun. But Brandon Inniss, I think, is one of the best of these in the 2023 class. In my opinion, in my rankings, he's the highest of the three they've brought in. I think he fits in phenomenally with what Brian Hartline has done the past couple years in the mold of wide receiver he's brought in and shown he can succeed with. And he's gonna be fine with quarterback as well. Coming into 2023, I expect CJ Stroud will be gone as well. Whether it's Kyle McCord or Devin Brown that wins that job, both those guys are going to be more than serviceable as a quarterback to get him the ball as a freshman in whatever playing time he gets. And then moving forward, if it is Devin Brown, you'll get him for another season. And then you have top 2024 quarterback Dylan Raiola coming in, who I also think is just absolutely amazing with his arm talent. So Brandon Inniss, he's coming to wide receiver U, and this is what the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to become as wide receiver U with the amount of wide receivers they're putting in the first round. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at the video Brian Hartline just did recently in an interview. All these teams saying they can develop wide receivers. The Ohio State Buckeyes actually do it. Great get for Brian Hartline and this team in a great spot for Brandon Inniss to develop and become an absolute stud. And I think he is going to do that, in my opinion, the best wide receiver of the class that they've gotten so far. Brandon Inniss, 5-star composite wide receiver, coming to the Ohio State Buckeyes. They just continue to reload every single year. Please give us a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys like this content. Check out campus2canton.com and give us, tell us what you guys think about it. Drop it in the comments. Tell me what you think about this Ohio State room. Do you think that he's got a shot? You believe more in Jaden Ballard and Julian Fleming? Whatever it is, let me know. I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts again as the Ohio State Buckeyes continue to roll in these top end wide receiver.